Harrison Ford quickly became one of my favorite classic film actors as I grew up on the Indiana Jones and Star Wars franchise. And that is Steven Spielberg as easily one of the greatest, if not the greatest director to ever make movies. And then teaming up with the world's best composer, John Williams, you cook up an amazing franchise, even instant classics. Only issue is somehow, someway, nobody's talking about the Indiana Jones series today. And there's a lot of 80s media that's making its runs back around in the 2010s and 2020s. And yeah, Indiana Jones did recently drop a fifth movie, but it's missing the hype that it deserves as a whole franchise. My favorite subject was history growing up, and these movies made me love it more. These movies gave a sense of intelligence, good fighting scenes for its time period, a lot of suspense, good storytelling, even a dash of horror. So right here in Raiders of the Lost, his now deceased partner, who, by the way, that's the same guy that plays, that's the same guy that plays Dr. Octopus in the Spider-Man series with Tobey Maguire. Kind of interesting, fun fact. But anyway, flies back to America. Here we learn that he's also a college professor, and the students naturally are in love with him. He explains to his boss Marcus how he almost had the idol, but then instead found other artifacts in South America that he can sell to the museum that Marcus owns. Marcus informs him that there are two agents here at the university that are trying to see him, and these two men tell Indy that Hitler, of all people, right? You know, Adolf Hitler, and a lot of Nazi archaeologists are actually going around the world digging up religious artifacts. Then from there, they discover files from Indy's former professor from when he was, still a student in college himself. And the Nazis are now en route to, find the lost Ark. Just to basically tell what the lost Ark is, if you read, a lot of the early Old Testament chapters, the lost Ark is something that was carried out throughout the times of Moses and the Israelites back then. You can do your own research on that though. But it is a religious artifact though, found in the Old Testament of the Bible. It was used to carry the Ten Commandments too, which is a big plot point too. For both, in real life and in the movie. But of course, the movie is fictional. And then we have Indy. He explains to the men that there are rumors that the Ark could have been last spotted and where it could have disappeared to over time. And then one of the things needed for the search of the Ark is this headpiece. It's the headpiece of Ra, which is a specific medallion used to navigate where the location of the Ark is officially resting in that city. And then the men all put together that since the Ark is known to later wasting to civilians and civilizations and making their enemies invincible, this could be the exact reason why Hitler is in search of it, because dictator, crazy guy, World War II, stuff like that. So before Indy flies off to Nepal to find his old professor, Marcus warns him that there are dangers of the Ark. But Indy takes his ass a myth. He don't believe in that stuff at all. And to which he tries to cut him in on a deal. Indy and Salah find the correct inside of this random tent, and plot armor kicks in again, because inside the tent just so happens to be the tent that Miriam is held captive in. So I guess at this point, some of Indiana Jones' superpowers must have rubbed off on Miriam, because somehow she survived in another bullshit situation. But I digress. Apparently she wasn't in the truck that blew up after all. So her death was all a false alarm. And as a fucked up way to keep the Nazis distracted, he decides to leave Miriam kidnapped with the Nazis as a ploy to keep them busy and not raise any suspicion. I ain't gonna lie, Indiana Jones is a hero, but he ain't always a hero. As, cut down Belloc and is threatening to blow up the entire thing using an RPG. And this motherfucker is unhinged, bro. As we realize, among thousands of other unexplainable objects, and none other than Area 51, concluding the first movie. Now in the next video, I am going to cover the Temple of Doom, which is technically a prequel, but chronologically the second release movie. And that was Raiders of the Lost Ark, and hopefully I just put y'all on. But y'all hear from me soon. We're going to talk about Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is actually my favorite Indiana Jones movie.